Today, I'm going to be sharing with you all how to find a real estate agent to buy a home. I want to address the obvious, which is I am a Calgary realtor. And before you start torching me in the comment section about how this video is to trick you into getting you to work with me, hear me out, because I'm not going to lie. Of course I'd love to work with you, but even if you don't and rather like roll the dice on a shady realtor that a friend of a friend recommended, if there is something that you can get out of this video, I generally would want you to be better informed about the home buying process, because I have recognized that it is very intimidating. And so when you are ready for your first home purchase, you'll be able to know how to find a realtor in your city and know whether or not you should continue to work with them. As a person in the real estate industry, I'll be the first one to tell you that there are definitely some money-hungry agent who's looking for a quick sale. And because this industry is solely commission-based, to a degree, there's always going to exist a motive for some agents to close the deal sooner rather than later. And if there's any agents that tell you otherwise, I'm here to tell you that they are full of it and they know it. So you might be wondering, how do I find and determine a trustworthy realtor? Well, look no further, because I'm going to be sharing with you exactly how you would do that. But before we do, I would appreciate if you guys could do me a quick favor, smash the like button, the subscribe button, or follow me on Instagram. And now let's get right into it. All right, let's start with the big question of it all, which is how do you find a realtor in the first place? And well, it's your lucky day, because here I am. So feel free to shoot me a DM. You can skip the rest of this video and save yourself 10 minutes of your time. Yeah, that was a pretty bad joke. In all seriousness, it's as easy as using your Google search engine. Of course, word of mouth is likely your best reference point, because if your realtor ends up doing a bad job, you can always go back to your friend and judge them why they went with them in the first place. But yes, assuming you weren't referred to one, you can use platforms like Google, realtor.ca, or even Instagram to strategically find your agent. In the world of real estate, reputation is so critical. So I would advise when you're Googling, for example, Calgary real estate agent, and you find a realtor that you might want to consider, you should really read into their Google reviews, look at their Instagram page, see how active they are, or even like their website and see like how professional it looks. A general rule of thumb is that if their platform looks like something I made on Microsoft Paint, then chances are you should probably avoid them. But let's just assume that you found a person or team and they look good so far. The next step I would recommend is using a licensee search tool that allows you to search the status of the realtor. The one we use in Alberta is known as RECA ProCheck. This tool allows you to confirm if an individual is currently licensed and in good standing, verify they are licensed for the sector relevant to your needs, so things like residential real estate, mortgage, commercial, and you can even do this by searching an individual's name or a brokerage name. The point is, when you're searching for a realtor, it's as easy as direct messaging them on Instagram or contacting them through their website or phone number. Typically, if they're good, they will respond back to you relatively quick. And the next step after is that they normally would set up time with you in the next days for like a consultation call to better understand your situation and understand how they can best serve you. So congratulations, you now made it to the interviewing realtor stage. And I always suggest when talking to a realtor, find at least 2 or 3 of them before making your decision. Now, obviously, similar to a job interview, you don't tell them that you're doing this behind the scenes, like not like you're talking to an agent and go like, yeah, I'm talking to other agents. That'd be pretty dumb. And similar to a job interview, for the first 5 to 10 minutes of a call, you generally will know whether or not they are someone you want to work with, or they remind you of like a douchey car sales guy at your local dealership. The key traits that you're looking for is their attention to detail, their responsiveness, how they communicate, their negotiation skills. But some of the things like negotiation is something that you only find out later on realistically. And at the end of it, I always tell people that you want someone who ultimately has your back at the end of it. Someone that you feel comfortable with. And I often tell even people I work with that you're not just looking for a realtor, you're basically looking for a trusted partner. Someone that will help you get through this big milestone in your life. And let me be clear, if there's any period or doubt that you feel that they don't have your best interest at heart, you drop them. Oh, and by the way, I am dead serious about this because that's the level of standard that you should put them, because there's a reason why there's this whole narrative that all realtors do is like open a key box and open a door, because people essentially let them get away with doing the bare minimal. So that's why I put you to put them on this high standard by putting them on the hot seat essentially and pushing them to do what you expect them to do. Here are some questions that you should ask your realtor to get a better sense of like how they work. So one question could be like, can you walk me through how you would identify red flags in a home? How do you handle multiple offers or bidding wars on behalf of your buyers without overpaying? Can you give me an example of when you advise a client not to buy a home? Or finally, how do you communicate during this whole process? / how often should I expect updates? By asking them these sort of questions, you can determine their things like integrity, how they would advocate for you, and more importantly, how they'll support your goals when it comes to this milestone purchase in your life. Let's look at some red flags to avoid when working with a realtor. And I'll admit, I might get a little heaty here, guys, because I personally, believe it or not, worked with a bad realtor out in Calgary. And of course, you might be wondering like, Frank, why didn't you just represent yourself? And that's because at the time I was a Ontario agent and I hadn't transferred my license yet. So I was sort of forced to just work with this local realtor person whose name I won't say. And the thing that stood out to me was that I felt like my realtor at the end of it just didn't have my best interest at heart. So here's the example. We put an offer in and it went into a pending state, so essentially conditionally sold. But after doing a home inspection, we discovered issues in the home that could have costed me thousands of dollars. Now, knowing this, I went to the realtor and suggested that we ask for a price reduction, like whether that's like a few $100 to $1,000. But instead of having my back, he just told me not to like ruffle the feathers because it was a seller's market out in Calgary. And honestly, that was all BS. I got the impression that he was, for lack of a better term, soft and didn't want to negotiate or even ask the listing agent because he was afraid that the deal would fall apart. If there's one thing you can take away from this video, it's that at the end of it, you don't want to just hire a realtor. Like I said before, you want a trusted partner. You'll be working with this individual really closely, so that relationship really does matter. And I even tell my own clients that there's no such thing as a dumb question, as cliche as it sounds, and that's because everyone buying their first home has pretty much been there, not knowing where to start, who to message, how much to list the home for, or what's even considered a good offer. So if you're wondering about something, trust me, you're not the first, and asking questions at the end of it is how you learn. You'll quickly notice that the home buying process tends to move a lot faster than most people expect, sometimes as quick as like 3 weeks to a month. So it's important to like stay grounded and not let someone or like a realtor's agenda rush your decision. You basically want to think of a good realtor as a one-stop shop. Someone with a solid network, they can connect you with like the right people, so mortgage brokers, lawyers, home inspectors, you name it. And while you're never obligated to use those people I just mentioned, especially if their recommendation don't sit right, it's still helpful to have a trusted contact ready so the process feels a little more seamless. A good rule of thumb is that if you're ever feeling like confused, unsure what to do, or feel like you're just being mistreated altogether, then chances are they're just not doing their job properly. A good realtor makes you feel confident, informed, and supported. They'll guide you through like the market, explain your options, and help you find neighborhoods that align with your lifestyle and long-term goals. So that's my personal story when I bought my place, but another red flag you want to watch for is how often or how well they actually communicate with you. You might be working with a realtor who has a big name or team in that local city, but when it comes down to booking a showing or writing an offer in, they're like nowhere to be found. And that, my friends, is quite critical because this could have costed you the home that you desired, thousands of dollars, because like serious, this industry, timing is everything, and delays can easily cost you massive. So to wrap up this video, I know I could have just said things like use Google or ask a friend for a referral to find a realtor, but I really want to highlight something more important, which is whether you're buying or selling, I want you to know that you hold the cards. For example, if you're looking to sell your house, just know that at the end of it, the realtor can only give you an advice or price recommendations, but the final decision comes down to you. Same thing if you're looking to buy. Even if your agent suggests a certain offer amount, like dollar amount, you make the call at the end of it because it is your money, not theirs. And never let anyone make you feel unheard or rushed, because remember, realtors only get paid if the deal closes, so you want to make sure they're explaining everything clearly. You can even ask them, like, how did they come to this certain dollar amount, whether it's the list price or the offer amount, and make sure they walk you through the logic and back it up with like facts. And don't be afraid to hold them accountable. If they're constantly late to showings or they keep on rescheduling, that's not okay. You're the one making this huge life decision, buying or selling a home that's likely worth hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. So there you guys have it. I hope you guys made it to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you got a little more clarity on how to find the right realtor, what questions to ask, or how to better vet people in general if you're trusting them for this big milestone. If you have any sort of questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already, or follow me on Instagram. And I guess I'll see you guys all in the next one. Peace.